Order. I'm Mark Watts. I'm serving as special magistrate today. Thank you all for being here. Today is Wednesday, August 27th, 2025, and it is 2 p.m. So the first item of business after the call to order, approval of the minutes. I was not present at the last meeting, but reviewed the video of that meeting and discussed the minutes with Ms. Gow, who is my partner who handled that meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the minutes of the meeting that was held on July 23rd, 2025. And we can move into swearing in of witnesses. Madam Clerk.
If everybody will please stand and raise your right hand. In the matter to which you are about to give testimony, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? The witnesses have been sworn in.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So for the record, just want to talk a little bit about process and procedure. I will call each case individually by case number and address and then enter the name and then ask the officer for the city to come up and provide their presentation of the violation that's been alleged. And then if you're here to speak on that property, identify yourself. I'll call you up and let you, kind of provide your testimony to me as well. I do want to just point out you do have a right of an appeal from these proceedings. So if you do decide to appeal any order that comes out of the meeting today, you have a 30-day timeline from the date that the order is entered into. You can appeal it to circuit court. I will tell you that it is an appeal on the record, so you would need to make sure you have a transcript of the proceedings that took place here, along with the evidence that was submitted to me as we made the decision. So. With that, I'm going to make one slight change to the agenda because I understand we have something that we can kind of handle fairly quickly. And I'm going to go ahead and call the first case from Section 7 of the agenda. This is Agenda Item 7A. It's LA 006-2025. This is 430 Bushell Drive, 0579, owner Bushell. Looking at my Roman numerals, 16 COA. So I can ask staff to come forward. I understand we have an agreement on this and we can move forward quickly.
Good afternoon. So this, as you mentioned, is for 430 Bushell Drive. It's a lien amnesty case that was continued from the last hearing, or actually 2 hearings ago, sorry. And basically they have asked for a lien amnesty from their total fine amounts. They originally started, I believe they were up over $37,000. And we reconsidered the amount. I originally considered a 20% discount for compliance within 6 months, and it should have been 30% discount. So the new amount that we would be recommending to reduce the fine amount to would be $16,650.
Okay, and is that exclusive or inclusive of interest? Is that the total fine amount you're recommending?
That's the total. That's for forgiving the interest and then following the other criteria as recommended and adopted by the City Commission.
Okay, very good.
And then that would have to be paid within 15 business days.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Is there somebody here on behalf of the applicant?
Good afternoon. Kim Booker with Booker & Associates. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. We have agreed to that amount and can pay it today.
Okay. Very good. You've agreed to the amount as stated by staff and are prepared to go forward and pay that. So in the matter of matter number LA 0006-2025, 430 Bushell Drive, I'll go ahead and enter a fine or an order reducing the fine to $16,650 to be paid within 15 days of today's date.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you for giving me that leeway. With that, I'm going to go back to old business and start with item 4A. This is case number CCSM-0071-2025, 206 Flagler Avenue, owner 206 Flagler Property LLC.
Good afternoon. This property has been heard before, obviously it's old business. On 3/26/2025, the board found 206 Flagler Property LLC and/or entity in violation of Section 26-171A permits and was given until 7/23/2025 to bring the property into full compliance. If the board found that the violations were not corrected by this date, a fine of $100 a day shall be imposed for each day the violation exists. The board order was mailed, certified mail to the property owner and was signed for and accepted on 7/31/2025 at 3:24 p.m. The board order was posted on the property on 7/24/2025. To date, the needed permits are now currently in a resubmittal status as of 8/20/25. However, I very recently discovered that after speaking with the permitting department, that the previous status on the city website was inaccurate for about a month. The status on the website showed the property to be in a review status instead of a resubmittal status. And due to this mistake, I feel it is unfair to the property owner to ask for the fine to be imposed at this time with such little notice. It's the staff's recommendation to the special magistrate to continue this case to the October 22nd, 2025 hearing. This should allow adequate time to obtain the necessary permits. If the necessary permits aren't obtained by that time, then the special magistrate should impose a fine of $100 a day commencing on 5/5/2025 and continuing until the property is brought into full compliance, fine not to exceed the maximum amount of $20,000. So there was just some issues with the website.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Officer Yates. Is there somebody, a representative? Oh, I'm sorry. You want to go through any of the materials or?
Oh, no, I'm all
Okay.
set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a representative of the property owner here? All right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and move forward with the staff's recommendation in our order continuing this to the September 24th, 2025 meeting back at the same location, same time. Is there a compliance date ahead of that? or-
So the one that I was recommending was going to be October 22nd, actually. I wanted to push it out just for the amount of work that they have to, that they're trying to resubmit or that they have to submit again based on the amount of work that was performed. So I wanted to give them a little bit of a window
A
there
little
to
bit
try
more
to
time.
get that, yeah.
Okay, that's reasonable, understand that? Okay, so I'll enter an order continuing this hearing to October 22nd, 2025, 2 p.m. in this location.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next case is 4B, CCSM 0352-2025, 520 Peninsula Avenue, Unit 2C8, owner Marker 33 Association.
Hello again.
Hello.
So this property is located at 520 South Peninsula Avenue. It's specifically to address Unit 2C8. At the July 23rd, 2025 hearing, the Special Magistrate found Marker 33 Association, Inc. and/or entity in violation of International Property Maintenance Code 304.6 exterior walls and gave until August 20th, 2025 to show progress and submit any additional necessary permits to bring the property into compliance. There's an exploratory demolition permit that was issued on July 16th, 2025 to remove the stucco so an engineer could go in and make the drawings necessary for the repairs. As of today, there's been no further contact in regards to that. The property does remain in violation of the International Property Maintenance Code 304.6 exterior walls. I believe there's been another permit that's been submitted. I spoke with the building official, and he's stating that it's not sufficient for all the repairs that are necessary. There are some resubmittals that are required for this permit. I checked the permit just before the meeting today, and there's no change in the permit. So my recommendation is for the special magistrate to impose a fine of $100 per day until the property is brought into full compliance, fine not to exceed $60,000. I believe there is a representative here from the association that would like to speak.
Okay, let me ask you just a couple quick questions.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the July 16th permit that was issued was for exploratory demolition to design a repair?
Yeah, they needed to get in there so they could see exactly what all they needed to do for the repairs, because it's like inside the walls, like the ceiling and the soffits and all that stuff is all compromised by the water that's been getting in there. And apparently this has been going on for several years, and I believe the unit owner tried to deal with it and tried to get work done through the association, and they never followed up on it. So then he came to the city to see what could be done to help him assist to get this moving along.
Okay. Yeah, and do you know if that second permit that's been submitted relates to repair work? Because I'm just curious how if the demolition work hasn't been done to design a
Yeah,
repair, how that...
it's basically, I believe, for the windows and some of the window work that needs to be done and stuff like that. It does not cover the walls and all that stuff, that there's still some open ends that, and I believe that's why it's in a resubmittal status, because there's a lot more stuff, and no engineering drawings have been submitted.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there a representative of the property owner? Yes, sir. You can just state your name and address for the record.
Andy Silvers, 520 South Peninsula, Unit 2C3.
Okay. What would you like to share with me?
So we when we first got notified of this, I'm actually on the board also, so our lawyer couldn't make it, which is kind of good because they charge us $1,000 each time they show up, but I can do this, I think. So when we first originally got contacted, we, as a board, took this really serious. The owner's been dealing with this nightmare for like 7 years, and it kept getting, the can just kept getting kicked down the road. From the original builder that did this faulty work 7+ years ago. But he's been dealing with leaks and just a lot of stuff. So he made the phone call to the city. City lit a fire under our butts, letting us know about $100 a day fine, up to 60 grand, got our attention. As a board, we voted to put this fire out and do what we had to do. So we contracted with EFC Construction. So we're under contract with them. We actually have a big board meeting coming up on the 4th of September to figure out how we're going to fund this project, but the money's there. That's not the issue. But what the main issue is, as the gal just pointed out, is we had to get engineers in there. And once I've got photos where Lou's unit has been totally opened up. And in order to replace these windows, which it's all of his windows that are like the whole length of his unit facing the water, in order to do that, we have to put in support. And in order to replace the windows, we have to put in new headers that go above the window. That's the main problem, that the original builder did not comply with whatever. It's not proper headers or beams, or am I saying it right? The post goes from the floor to the ceiling.
Sure.
Some were taken out, they weren't put back. So this new builder, after opening this up and with the engineers, there is an engineer report. I will, when I leave here, I'll talk to Jeff, the owner of East Florida Construction. They're there now doing stuff. So we're being extremely proactive on this. And yeah, I don't know what more to say other than I hope we don't start getting a fine, because we are on this. And money is important to us, because we're talking assessments, and we might get reimbursed from this original builder's insurance company, but one lawyer said there's a 7-year statute of limitation. The other lawyer said, because they never pulled a permit from 7 years ago to do this job, which is what I heard, a major no-no on their part, where they could lose their contractor's license. And it's a big, I don't want to say the name of the company, but it's a big company out of Orlando, and I'd like to think they want to remedy this. But this, again, the board I'm giving you probably way more information than you want.
It's all good.
But that's why, as a board, it's structural. It's on the owners to repair this gentleman's nightmare, and we're doing so. So I would ask for, I guess, more time. I know Jeff, I spoke to him this morning, and he said he put in for whatever other permits are needed, because there's a lot of permits. It's not just this one wall, which I think when it says exterior, well, it does say walls now. So the one wall is the hallway wall, is that correct? Which has been torn apart weeks ago to look at what needs to be rectified, but that's not a bearing wall. So this is an easy part of the project. The big part is the other wall, which is his window wall, which is 40 feet long. Sure. It's a lot of windows. So, and that is where he had to go inside the gentleman's unit, rip out the ceiling, put support up, because technically right now the windows are supporting this exterior wall, and that's not what windows are supposed to be doing.
Right.
So it's a miracle that we're here just having this conversation. Anyhow.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Let me ask you a quick question. The permit, the exploratory demolition permit that was issued July 16th, there was an indication that no work had been done under that. And to me, that type of a permit's one that has to be executed on so that you can actually design what the proper fix is. Do you know what's delayed that work?
As far as I know, he's doing the work.
Okay, has the city been called for inspections or to review?
I don't know.
Okay.
You don't know? I mean, the inspectors have been out. I know East Florida Construction, they're on their A game. He's on this. Like I said, they're there now. They've been there. They did take a week off because there was an issue with funds, but the issue's been resolved. So they're moving as fast as they can. I guess I will call him and find out why he hasn't addressed some of these resubmittal issues that were brought up, but I'll have that answer today.
Okay. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to add to that?
We're on it.
Okay. So I appreciate that the board is moving forward with it and that you're motivated to get it done. I did watch the hearing from last month where this was talked about and the extent of the damage and repairs and everything were talked about. I think one of the things that sitting in this seat, and I appreciate that there's now motivation. It seems like maybe that's taken time to get ahead of steam. So I'm inclined to enter the order, starting a fine at a lower rate, at $50 a day, and have that continue to run until compliance is achieved, just to make sure that there's motivation to continue that work. And keeping in mind that the way that the lien amnesty structure works in New Smyrna, the quicker you get that done, the more of a potential reduction you have in that lien at the end of the day. But I think that is, I think this, certainly from the what I saw, in the last hearing with regard to the damage, it does seem to be pretty significant structural and life safety issues. So just to maybe add a little bit to the motivation, I'm going to go ahead and enter that order at a lower rate to go ahead and keep everybody working on a quick schedule to get the repairs done.
And that's pertaining to just the first
That's
compliance?
relating to the compliance with the finding that's already been entered of, an exterior wall deficiency under the International Property Maintenance Code.
But in theory, it could take, so like now that we have everything opened up, so now we can figure out through the engineer report where posts, because we got to put concrete posts in. And so the width of each post is, let's say, 10 inches in width. So we've got bids on windows, a window package, but it's not exact because we didn't know exact until we know how much room we have to fill in the glass.
Right.
So, I mean, this is just an ongoing, I wish it was as easy as we wanted it to be, but it's not going to be. And so I guess what I'm saying is, so we're going to get fined $50 a day until we complete this project? Because that could be 3 months from now.
Sure. Something else to add?
So typically, the way it happens is if there's permits involved, we require any of the permits that need to be obtained for the project. Once they're issued, we would stop the fine. We're not going to, because permits can extend out for years depending on the amount of inspections, the amount of work that's being done. So typically, once we see all the permits are issued, we would stop the fine on that property.
Right. Okay. So, and actually, I was kind of going that direction as well. I was going to suggest that you come back and we do a modified order once permits are issued, but I can include that in the initial order. So I can include that we would start a fine of $50 a day. That fine would stop running once permits are obtained. And then I'd encourage you to stay in close communication with the building department and everybody else involved to make sure they're aware of where things are. And then, again, keep the priority on getting this taken care of so that we can come back and deal with any accumulated fine.
And we could make part of the orders to bring it back in 3 months to make sure that they're progressing. It's up to you. I mean, if we want to see, just make sure that they are progressing and getting all the inspections and stuff that are required by the permits.
Sure.
We can bring it back for progress reports.
Okay. Does that sound good to you? So we've got a specific point to check back in. But again, I'd encourage you to get in earlier if you get the permits, issued, because we're going to, the fine will stop at that point. Okay. Okay. So in case number CCSM 0352-2025, I'm going to go ahead and enter an order beginning a $100 per day fine, commencing on the date of this order, running until, I'm sorry? $50 a day? I'm sorry, $50 a day, running until permits are issued, and schedule this for a status check to come back in and report to the magistrate at the, what would that be, November meeting?
November?
I'm trying to think. Yes, at the November meeting. And do we have that date?
We think it's Monday, November 24th.
Okay. So we'll schedule this to come back for a status report Monday, November 24th. And if it's any other date, we'll provide notice of that.
And the order will have the new hearing date listed in it, so it will have the correct
Okay.
information.
And I do very much appreciate the effort you guys are putting into it. I just, what we're able to do is continue to make sure that pressure's there and we get the corrections done. And so once the permits are issued, those fines will stop. And then once the repairs are done, we can come back and you have an opportunity to apply for lien amnesty on it.
So, so just so I'm clear when I explain this, in theory, if the gentleman that owns this company gets online today and remedies the remittal request that you asked for, if he gives you all that information, in theory, we could only have 1 day of fine? No?
There's no permit that I've seen come into the city that's been reviewed in the same day. So, because he has resubmittals, and resubmittals depends on the person that's requiring it, because there's several people in the review process. So, it's not going to stop immediately because it has to go through the review process. Plus, you also have to make sure that all the permits that the building department is requiring, because I believe there's still one other permit that may be required. So I would have your contractor get in touch with the building official and make sure he's submitting everything that he's looking for.
But in theory, it runs for a very short period of time if the contractor is properly motivated to get in and get the permits issued.
I guess the only thing I would ask is, I appreciate you going from 100 to 50, but why are we being, call it punished, for not performing, because we have not drug our feet. This has been, number one, it's a miracle we found a contractor that's competent that will do this project, which we did do right away. And I mean, I was here last month. It hasn't been that long since we've been issued, and Barbara probably knows the date, but as soon as we were given a notice that we're in violation, we as a board voted to take this as serious as we had to, because we didn't want to have fines. Because it's just more money being thrown out the window that we have, but we don't have. I guess we're not going to get a new pool, but big deal. But the point is, me being on the board, I don't kick a can at all. And so I took this real serious to be on top of it and do everything we could with getting a competent builder, which we did. And because this is extensive, like I said, I have photos that we could maybe put part of the file if we need to, but we're on it. And Jeff from East Florida Construction, what he's been telling me, he's on it, but according to what I'm hearing, there's some resubmittal stuff he's not following up on.
Yeah.
And
Right.
But
Thank
the reason this drug on for so long is the owner, who used to be on the board, we tried to get this resolved through the builder out of Orlando. So we were doing conference calls, and we were doing stuff with insurance companies, and everybody just kept kicking this can down the road for 7 years. I mean,
Right.
it was insane. Nobody knew just how
Yeah.
structurally important this job is, and so it's being, like I said, we've got, everything's being supported now
Right.
from the roof to the ground.
So a couple of the things you said right there is why I'm inclined to enter the order that I've outlined. One, it's structurally important. I've seen the pictures of this. I watched the hearing at the last meeting. This is a structural issue, and so it's a life safety issue. Number two, it's been kicked down the can for 7 years, and I heard that in the discussion at the last meeting as well. And I appreciate the board's action and the board's motivation to get this done. That's the principal reason why I'm suggesting that I'm going to enter an order at half of what the staff's requesting, because I think you are moving forward. I'm a little concerned that there was a permit issued a little bit more than a month ago that hasn't had any work done under it. That's an exploratory permit that to me seems to be necessary to work under in order to make sure you're designing the repair the correct way. I think that the order here will continue to provide that motivation and give you the ability to cut it off as quickly as you can get those permits issued.
Okay. I don't think, I mean, everything's fine. I don't think anything's, I don't believe EFC's procrastinated on opening up this building and seeing what
Good.
needed to be resolved. It was a process. And so I don't know exactly what the first permit was pertaining to. Was that just the wall of windows?
It was, I'm going to refer back to last month's note.
Yes, ma'am.
So Steve Woodworth is the building official, and he had been working with the property owners trying to get the repairs made to the property. The project has been an ongoing issue with no action being taken or followed through to resolve the exterior wall issue. After several attempts and seeing no progress being made, he requested a notice of violation through code enforcement. Mr. Keller sent emails with updates and sent an on-site meeting on July 3rd, which Steve Woodworth and myself met with East Florida Construction, and I believe he was there as well. On the 10th of July, Mr. Keller emailed stating an agreement had been made with East Coast Construction. They'll perform the structural repairs, waterproofing, replace windows, install support columns, and the beams in Unit 2C8. Stucco repairs will also be done with proper barriers to be installed. On 7/22, the permitting system showed a permit was issued to remove stucco and substrate from exterior header of units 2C8. And then that would allow the engineer to inspect and to make the appropriate recommendation to repairs to bring the property up to code. So basically, that first permit was just so they could do the exploratory that's recommended. Then the second was for the demolition, so they could start getting some of that stuff out of there, so
Getting
they could
closer to the
start with.
repair work.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to stick with my order. And, you know, again, I'm really just, you know, this is the manner in which we have to basically continue the motivation. I'm setting it up so that it will automatically stop as soon as the permits are issued. So I would say keep everybody motivated, get the permits issued as quickly as you can. That stops the fine, and then you have that opportunity to apply for lien amnesty.
If the permits appears, though, they're going to be in a review process for any length of time, we can see that, and then we'll know it's being held up by staff, and we can take that into consideration as to when the fine stops as well.
Okay.
But we need to see the resubmittals, we need to see all the permitting, and once that stuff is all brought together, then we can bring to you the date of the closure and the date that we stop the fine.
Okay, I think that makes sense. That way, I would just encourage you to be in close communication with staff. So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay. Pictures back as well. All right. Moving on to case 4C, CCSM 0244, 2025. This is for 1998 State Road 44, owner GH2 NSB BB LLC. Officer Sherry Longfellow.
And I'll just speak on behalf of this one, Shelley Longfellow. She re-inspected this property today
Okay.
and let me know that the property is currently in compliance, and she will be sending an affidavit of compliance to the property owner.
Perfect. So you don't need me to take any action on that one because you're doing a
No
notice of
action taken.
compliance on your part. Okay. Very good. Okay, next case, 4D, CCSM 0480, 2024. This is 309 Murray Street, owner Marion Jill Dempsey.
I have photos of the property now, so I'll just hand those to you.
Okay.
So this case is CCSM 0480-2024. Property address is 309 Murray Street. The violations cited were sections 26, 171A, permits required, section 269148 for maintenance, and IPMC 304.2 for protective treatment. On July 23rd, the special magistrate found Marion Jill Dempsey and/or entity in violation of sections 26, 171A, permits required, and IPMC 304.2, protective treatment. And on that date, the violation, section 269148, was found to be in compliance with a compliance date of July 23rd, 2025. The special magistrate gave until August 20th to bring the violations into compliance. The special magistrate ordered a hearing for August 27th to discuss the progress made and to discuss the fine to be imposed. The special magistrate order was mailed, certified mail to the property owner, and was signed for and accepted on July 28th, 2025. The special magistrate order was posted on the property on July 25th, 2025, and I also sent a copy via email to Ms. Dempsey on July 25th, 2025. On August 25th, 2025, follow-up inspection found that violation IPMC 304.2 protective treatment is now in compliance, but section 26171A permits required remains in violation. A permit application was submitted on August 4th, 2025 to repair existing laundry shed. The application went through the review process. The building department requested additional information, and to date, that information has not been submitted by the applicant. Therefore, it is my recommendation the special magistrate impose a fine of $25 per day for the remaining code of Section 26171A, permits required, as of August 20th, 2025, and continue until the property is brought into full compliance with the fine amount not to exceed the maximum amount of $10,000.
Can you clarify for one more time, when was the permit submitted for that violation?
August 4th.
Okay. Okay. And it looks like, so landscaping has been taken care of, the painting has been taken care of versus, because this was yellow before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good, thank you. Is there a representative of the property here? Okay, seeing no one, I'm gonna go ahead and enter the order that staff's requesting $25 per day for the ongoing violation of section 26-171A, requiring permits for the work that's been outlined on the property. With a, let's see, your maximum on that was 10,000, right?
Correct.
With a maximum fine of $10,000. Okay,
And that'll begin on August 20th?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Next item, sorry, I have to flip back and forth here. All right, 4E, CCSM 0658, 2024, 206 Douglas Street, owner Hummingbird Properties.
The address is 206 Douglas Street, case number CCSM 0658-2024. This property is zoned MU, Mixed Use Central Business District. Violations cited were IPMC 304.10, stairways, decks, porches, and balconies. IPMC 305.5, handrails and guards. IPMC 604.3, electrical system hazards. IPMC 704.6, smoke alarms. Section 26-171, permits required. Section 42-13, fire violations, hazard abatement. Section 74-146, local business taxes imposed. On November 13, 2024, the special magistrate found Hummingbird Property, NSB LLC, and/or entity in violation of IPMC 304.10, IPMC 305.5, IPMC 604.3, IPMC 704.6, Section 26-171, Sections 42-13, and Section 74-146, and gave until December 13, 2024, to bring the property into full compliance. If the special magistrate found that the property violations were not corrected by this date, a fine of $50 per day for violation of IPMC 304.10, $25 per day for violation of IPMC 305.5, $25 per day for violation of IPMC 604.3, $50 per day for violation of IPMC 704.6, $50 per day for violation of Section 26-171, $50 per day for violation of Section 42-13 shall be imposed for each day the violations existed. The magistrate's order was posted on the property on November 20th, 2024. The order was mailed, certified mail to the property owner, and was signed for and accepted on November the 20th, 2024. The notice of hearing was posted on the property on August the 8th, August 8th, 2025. The notice was mailed, certified mail to the property owner, and was returned. To date, extensive. This has been an ongoing case stemming back to 2021. It has gone through 3 different code cases as each case has progressed into more violations. Therefore, it is kind of a conglomeration of other cases. There never has been a BTR for this property. This is a dwelling in the city that has 7 apartments to it. There are life safety issues. I will be bringing up the fire marshal to make his testimony regarding this property as well. Back on June 18th, 2024, Code Compliance conducted an inspection of the property based upon a previous BTR inspection of failure from 2022. During that inspection on 6/18/2024, it had been determined that there were multiple fire violations as well as code violations. Based upon the issues that were found and the cooperativeness of the owner, more time was given to correct the issues. Violations found consisted of improperly supported weak stairs and railings that were too low to provide proper support, missing smoke detectors, lack of working GFCI outlets near water sources, fire code violations, multiple. The fire marshal will address those. That work has been taken place to require building permits, and no permits had been applied for, and the apartments are rented and have been rented for several years and are still occupied and being rented without a BTR. There are life safety issues. Before I bring up the fire marshal, I will say this. The property owners have had a contractor apply for a permit to correct some issues. That permit was issued in February of 2025. It had run to August and then got extended by a request for extension. The entire time, 0. No inspections have ever been conducted by the building department for any work. It appears that it's just an issued permit with no action taken on behalf of the contractor. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation to the special magistrate to find that the property was in non-compliance on December the 13th, 2024 for all violations that were ordered by the special magistrate's order dated November the 13th, 2024. Excuse me. I recommend the special magistrate impose a fine of $50 per day for violation of IPMC 304.10, $25 a day for violation of IPMC 305.5, $25 per day for violation of IPMC 604.3, $50 per day for violation of IPMC 704.6, and $50 per day for violation of Section 42-13. All fines to commence on today, August the 27th, 2025, and continue till the property is brought into full compliance. Fine not to exceed the maximum amount of $25,000. Recognizing if we went back to the magistrate's order of last year, most likely they would already be at their cap. We want to motivate them. We want cooperation. We want compliance. We're not looking at a revenue situation here. There are life safety issues, and I'd like to bring the fire marshal up to talk about those.
Please.
Good afternoon. Don Weech, Fire Marshal. I was involved as a fire inspector in the 6 of 2024 inspection, which was actually a re-inspection from the BTR from 2022, I believe, inspection. It was found that the 3rd floor apartment appeared to be being occupied, and there's no secondary means of egress from that apartment. And also the rear two apartments with garage space underneath it has been, one of it has been turned into like a laundromat with no permits, and there's no fire separation separating the hazard from the living area above. So that's our main concern with the fire hazard issues from our report. And like I said, we want compliance, but to this point, we have not been requested to come back and do any inspections. And that work that would have needed to be done would have needed permits. So we would have responded to a inspection request from a contractor. We have not had that.
And then your understanding is that the structure is currently occupied?
It was the third floor, we were told wasn't occupied, but there was evidence that it appeared it was being lived in.
Okay. And if I can just get clarification on what you're seeking as far as your recommendation on the...
Our recommendation is to impose the fines as was stated in the magistrate's previous order from November of 2024, with the one understanding that 26-171 would not be imposed. Even though they did get a permit, they got a permit in February. However, they were supposed to have a permit prior to December. 2 months, the fine could have run. But at the same point, again, we're recognizing that the more the fine is, the more that they have less money to fix this problem. Right. And our interest is having this problem fixed and caring about the life safety issues especially. Especially safety, talking about stairwells, that type of situation, collapse, those things. We want to have things taken care of. So we want to motivate them. This has been ongoing for several years. The motivation seems to be just verbal, and we need to have an enforcement action of an imposed fine that would be running. We believe that all amounts that were stated in the previous order back in November are all fair amounts, especially considering if we went back to the compliance date of the magistrate's order from November, they would probably most likely be very close to hitting the maximum as it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Is there a representative of Hummingbird Properties? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Pizzuti, owner and manager of the property. Thank you, Mr. Parks. I'd just like to state that we have actually fixed a lot of these things, and in my ignorance, I didn't realize I'm supposed to call them to come out and inspect them afterwards. I'd invite them to do that as soon as we can. Also, the things that the fire marshal is stating, they're under construction at this time. That's what the permits were pulled for. Again, if they need to come inspect that, and again, my ignorance, I didn't know that I needed to call. I thought since I had a permit that it would automatically happen. So I'm just saying that we are being proactive. It's a building that was built in 1905. Mm-hmm. I bought it occupied, so as a retirement investment. Sure. So I assumed it was up to code. My bad. I didn't know that this was going to happen. And they all came and told me, and I don't charge a lot for rent because it's all people that work around here. So we've been picking away at everything that needs to be done. And like I said, my ignorance, I didn't know that I needed to call them back there to do it, which I would like to invite you to. And I'd like to work with them to get this taken care of. There's another issue I need to talk to you about afterwards. But the stairways have been fixed. Every apartment, now the third floor is not rented. I've lost a lot of rent not being able to rent that. I need to talk to you about that. We have submitted plans for a fire escape for that, but it has been rejected each time. So that's what I need to find out exactly what we need to do, because I do need to rent it so I can make some money to pay for all this. And then the stairwells have all, the railings have all been lifted up high enough inside. The railings outside have been done. The stairways have been fixed. Now, what I understood was anything under $1,000, I not need to have it permitted. And I did not spend more than $1,000 on that. I have a handyman that did everything. Again, if they want to come inspect it and if something's wrong, I will get it permitted and change it. I'm I'm proactive at getting this safe. Every one of my apartments, I've replaced all of the smoke detectors with 10-year battery smoke detectors because, I don't know if anybody else owns an apartment building, people take the batteries out when they start beeping instead of replacing them. So I put the 10-year battery smoke detectors. Now, when they came to inspect, there was a problem. The man that had installed them for me forgot to pull some of the tabs off of the batteries. So when they tested them, they didn't work. And Mr. Parks did point that out to me that I needed to check that, which we did. I also was proactive and got each one of the apartments certified fire extinguishers from a fire extinguisher certification place. And I also have 3 of those out in the lobby and outside the buildings. So if there's a problem. We are on the 3rd garage fixing. We had to remove a lot of air conditioning units, wires. It was all kinds of stuff that was just, the contractor called it lipstick on a pig. So we're being proactive in taking all that down at the same time, so it takes a little bit longer to get the 45-minute drywall put up in order to do it right. So we're in the 3rd garage now doing that. I think, did I cover everything? I really don't know what all the codes mean, but I'm going to talk to Mr. Parks hopefully afterwards, and he can explain it to me. But we are being proactive in getting everything done, and it does cost a lot of money. It took a while to get an engineer to get this going and get the permits done. I went through 2 here, and they said, yes, I'll help, and then they called and said they wouldn't, so I got someone from Orlando to do this for me. But that part is permitted, and I would like to know what I need to have inspected. And like I said, I'm all for having a safe environment for my tenants. They're all people that work around here, and I don't want anything to happen to them. So I'm happy to do whatever they need to do. I sit down with them, talk about what, and I've got one of the, like I said, the fire escape that we keep getting told no. For every kind of a fire escape I want to put on that loft. It's really a loft apartment, beautiful little place, but I can't rent it because of that. But, like I said, I'd like to work with them and get that taken care of.
Okay.
It's been a long-going thing for me, too. I had no idea when I bought this building what I was up against, so.
Yeah. No,
I do want to keep, I have really good tenants, and I would like to keep them safe.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately everybody's goal.
Right.
I'll tell you, my concern is hearing that something like this has been going on since 2022, 2024, and yet listening to testimony that really shows that all of these things are still outstanding.
Oh, no, they're not. Well, they're not. That's why I need to have them come inspect.
But so from the standpoint of process, and if you look at the materials that come out of the city, it's in bold at the bottom that it's your responsibility to communicate with the building department and the fire marshal to have the re-inspections done. And so I certainly appreciate it, and I'm positive that you understand that now.
Well, no, I've been trying all along, trying to get everything done, and I wish I had a little more education in having a building in a city, so, but I don't. Never done it before, so I'm happy to work with them, though, and get these things inspected, number one.
Well, and as you heard, this isn't a process designed to generate revenue. This is a process to designed to encourage compliance and require compliance.
Yes.
So, okay. Anything else you wanted to add?
I think that's it. I'll ask questions.
Okay. I would encourage you to be in communication with staff, on each of these issues, particularly anything that you have questions on.
I need to get their card so I can.
I am going to issue the recommended order. And again, it's not designed to generate revenue. It's designed to make sure that the motivation continues to get these things taken care of so that we're not here another 12 or 14 months from here.
And we extended our permit to finish these, the 45-minute drywall too, just to make sure that they know we are working on it.
Right.
It was just extended this month.
Okay. I see somebody behind you raising his hand that may want to add to it.
You have to tell your name.
Stephen Pizzuti, the husband.
Okay.
I've been around during all this process. The GFIs were also done, and the emergency exit signs were also done. So everything that's on that list was done. The problem is she was not aware that we were supposed to pull permits because right on the violations, it said anything under $1,000, a permit was not required. So when they came out and respected again, when they found out that when you pull those things out, they didn't work, there was only 2 things left on that, at that particular point in time, which are on that list right there. But everything else, okay, they saw was done, except for the 2 things that are on that report. So she's done everything. The problem is, I don't believe maybe she should have pulled a permit, but again, based on the report and based on what was submitted to us that we've got certified, it said under $1,000, no need for a permit. So she went ahead and got all this stuff done. She got the stairways, decks, porches done, she got the handrail guard, electrical system hazards, every single one of them, single multi-station alarms, all done. Everything is done, okay? The drywall, the separation in the laundry room, okay, the way that was stated, they said we needed to put all drywall, the fire marshal said all 45-minute drywall on every single one of the garages. Okay, they didn't say just do the laundry room. So we were sitting there to find an engineer to go ahead and do all that. We found 2 locally here. They backed out at the last minute, so that created a problem for us, and we ended up being here. So again, everything has been done. We just haven't had somebody go out there and review it.
Okay.
So I would ask, so my question is, how do we stop, like, tomorrow, if somebody came out and see that it was done, then, or tomorrow, do we pull a permit after the fact? Okay, to say, okay, these were done, can you review it?
Right. And I appreciate the fact that you're saying that, you know, that a lot of this work has been done. The issue is the city doesn't know that, and the city staff
Correct.
doesn't know
And
that.
that's been- and that was
their
a little bit of what
responsibility
the-
is for, yeah.
And that was the lack of understanding of the
Okay.
process, not a lack of, you know, it's all about, you know, she's been trying.
Sure.
You know, and it's not about her lack of willingness to do it. It's a matter of not understanding the system.
Okay.
You know, in fact, after COVID, she called the city up, and 6, 7 people show up one day, and she was devastated. You know, all of a sudden, we got a 3, 4-page report, and it was mind-blowing. Okay, but again, bit by bit, okay, she put forth the effort to try. So, again,
Okay.
where do we go from here? Thank you.
Officer Parks, can I ask you just from a scheduling standpoint, how long would the city need to be able to get out to do a follow-up inspection?
The problem is because of the way that this has transpired and the lack of communication, the lack of requests, I can't speak for the building department to say what their schedule is for coming out. I do have the fire marshal here, but he would have to look at his schedule, my schedule. Again, it's difficult to say that we can go out on this date and do this and resolve this issue on this date. Unknown. Many people sometimes do focus on the $1,000 part of the code and don't understand what they're doing, but that's the reason why when they talk to the permitting people do explain to them, and a lot of times will explain that certain projects are not able to be done by handymen, require contractors. Right. And the contractors do know the schedules of inspections that are required, and even when the permit's issued, it does have an inspection sheet with it, that type of situation. I know that the building department does relay that information. If for some reason somebody didn't understand or misunderstood something somewhere, that's not on the city's, problem. I can tell you that based upon the last inspection of the property, and I'll bring it to your attention, it is in the agenda, was the fire marshal's report that's dated let me find here the date actually on this one with his signature. It was June the 26th, 2024. We are over a year from that date. Right. And there's been no communication. And even this document here, while it might have cleared some things, it states that for reinspection, contact the city. So that alone, that's the last time a city official has been to that property in an official capacity. Right. Except for when the city code enforcement was literally posting the property with the notices. And when we've posted the property with notices, we have not received any communication, no phone call, no emails, no communication whatsoever from the property owners. The city can't be burdened with the responsibility of forcing a communication. Our recommendation stands.
Right. Okay. So I'm inclined to, again, as I said before, follow the city recommendation with regard to the fines. I'm going to add one caveat to that, and that is that I'm going to make the effective date of the fines going into effect 2 weeks from now, so that the property owner has a small window to get in touch, get people on site, inspect the things that they're stating have been done, and if not, then all the fines would go back to the original date of the violation as
The original date of the violation,
Or
talking
the-
about the magistrate's first
Yes,
order.
the original date of the first order,
Okay.
if that
That
makes sense.
that's a huge difference in money.
It's a huge, well, so I think it would be effective. So let me
That's a
read this
massive-
out.
That's a massive difference in money. I mean, I'm not advocating for them. I'm just recognizing by what you're saying. That's,
But, I'm trying to balance, the statements I've heard from them with the severity of the violations that I see here in the staff report, and the fact that that list hasn't gone down. And so the way I think I'm going to phrase this from the standpoint of the violations, the recommendation that I have is to impose a fine of $50 per day for violation of IPMC 304.10, IPMC 704.6, Section 26-171, from the date of December 13th, 2024 to February 13th, 2025. I think that's the date the permit was issued. And then for Section 42-13, $25 a day for IPMC 305.5 and IPMC 604.3, commencing on December 13th, 2024, for all the violations that remain in violation as of September, give me a second, 10th, 2025. So if you understand what I'm trying to give you a window there to,
let me let them stand in front of there.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
This is important to understand.
yeah, I'm trying to give you a window. So the effect of what I'm saying is there's fines that will be retroactive to the date of your original order, but you can avoid all of them if you can come out and meet and have staff on the property, and they can confirm which ones are in compliance
Okay,
within the next 2 weeks. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay.
It's a lot of money, so hopefully, they
It
find
is a lot of
everything in
money.
compliance, yes.
Yeah, the money's not the goal here, the compliance is the goal.
Yes,
And
well, I'm pretty sure I've got everything done, so, and I could not afford all that, so I appreciate it.
okay, so that gives you to September, what was the date that I said?
10th.
10th. So those fines will go into effect as of September 10th if they're not listed as in compliance by that date.
And I am willing to meet with them after the hearing. I have other cases that have to be presented, but understand I'm willing to meet with you afterwards. If you want to stay, I'll be glad to talk to you then. Yes.
I
Okay.
just want to add to this so they understand that the building permit inspections need to be scheduled by their contractor through the portal.
Correct.
That's nothing that we can schedule for them. They need to make sure that they have their contractor schedule it through his permitting portal.
Right, okay. Any questions? Okay, good luck. Okay. I think that brings us to new business. Item 5A, CCSM 0025-2025. This is for 595 Pecan Street, owner Michael Christopher Blicker. Officer John Parks again.
Yes, sir. The address is 595 Pecan Street, case number CCSM 0025-2025. Excuse me. This property is zoned B3 Highway Service Business, Violations cited was Section 26-171, permits required, LDR 504.01, General Zoning Regulations B3. On January the 14th, 2025, I observed a shipping container and storage shed building on the property. A check of the permit system found no permits had been issued for them. Volusia property appraiser shows the property to be a vacant property. The property was found to be in violation of Sections 26-171 and LDR 504.01. On May the 6th, 2025, a notice of violation was posted on the property with an initial compliance date of June 6, 2025. A copy was also mailed certified mail to the property owner and was returned to sender. Recent inspections of the property have found that other improvements have been made to the property without permits, and the property is being used for storage of boats and vehicles. On August the 13th, 2025, a check of the permit system found an application for the shed in a denied status, and the applications for the shipping container to be in resubmittal required status since April the 10th, 2025. There has been no change as the use listed on the property appraiser as still is vacant lot. It is staff's recommendation the magistrate to find Michael Christopher Blinker and/or entity in violation of Sections 26-171 and LDR 504.01 and give until September the 19th, 2025 to bring the property in full compliance. If the owner does not come into compliance, it's staff's recommendation to impose a fine of $50 per day for each violation until the property is brought into full compliance. Maximum fine not to exceed $10,000.
Okay. And just for clarification, the full compliance here would be issuance of permits for the shed structure and for the container structure. And then storage is a separate issue.
Well, it's interesting because a vacant property is exactly that, vacant. Right. However, so I think that's probably one of the reasons why the initial permit application was denied in its status, is because how can you review it and issue a permit for something that is a vacant property? Mm-hmm. It requires you to want to develop this property. Right. And I think that there's going to be a problem actually meeting the compliance. I think the way that they meet the compliance would probably be to vacate the property. Honestly, I mean, mm-hmm. that's the only common sense. It's a vacant property. Vacant lot's a vacant lot. So I don't really know that the issuance of the permit would solve the problem unless the permit is allowing it to change its use by its development. So again, I'm not the expert on that. I'm not planning. I'm not zoning. I can't say. I could say that there's a zoning issue in the fact that it's zoned and it's not being used the way it's zoned for because it's a vacant lot. And then also somebody has built upon it, and unfortunately they didn't have a permit. So there's the two violations. Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Is Michael Christopher Blicker here or a representative? Okay. Based on the testimony received, then I'm going to go ahead and enter an order finding the property in non-compliance for violation of LOR 504.01 and Section 26-171A with a compliance date of September 19th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Next hearing will be scheduled for September 24th, 2025 at 2 p.m. to consider the entry of fines.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Next case, CCSM 0136-2025. This is for 1571 South Atlantic Avenue, Unit 104. Owners Michael and Marianne Durkin. Officer Parks again.
The address is 1571 South Atlantic Avenue, Unit 104, case number CCSM 0136-2025. This property is zoned R6, multifamily residential. Violation cited was Section 26-171, permits required. On March the 13th, 2025, Code Compliance received a complaint regarding a dryer vent being installed without a permit. On March the 21st, 2025, I went to the property and observed a vent housing similar to a dryer vent on an exterior wall of Unit 104. I saw no other units that had dryer vents exiting the exterior walls. On a check of the permit system, found no permits for the vents. The property was found to be in violation of Section 26-171. Pardon me, my mouth's getting a little dry here a second. On March the 26th, 2025, a notice of violation was posted on the property with initial compliance date of May the 6th, 2025. A copy was also mailed, certified mail, to the property owner and was signed for and accepted on March the 28th, 2025. On August 13th, 2025, a check of the permit system found an application for the vent in a resubmittal required status since June 26, 2025. I have received communications from the property manager that they are working with a contractor to have the required documents submitted soon. It is staff's recommendation to the magistrate to fine Michael W. and Marie Ann Dernick and/or entity in violation of 26-171 and give until October the 17th, 2025 to bring the property into full compliance. If the owner does not come into compliance, it is staff's recommendation to impose a fine of $50 per day for the violation until the property is brought into full compliance. Maximum fine not to exceed $10,000. And the reason I gave it a October date is they advised me that they're having to deal with engineering issues and drawings. Therefore, I do recognize engineering to be a little bit more of a complicated permit process. So that's the reason why I've extended out that permit
And I would assume
compliance
that's
date being
necessary because of
October.
the penetration of the exterior wall.
That's what I believe it is. I'm not the building department. I couldn't really say what the requirements are, but I'm just suspecting that's probably true.
Okay, very good. All right, are Mrs. or Mr. Durkin here, her representative? Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and enter the order. What is the October hearing date? Sorry, the draft here had September in it. Just wanted to update that real quick.
If it's easier for you for the November to come back, that actually gives them more time, even though they've already had their October date, though, but at the same point, recognizing sometime when you're dealing with engineers, there are complications.
I believe it's October 22nd.
Okay, that's a quick turnaround. So we'll do compliance date of October 17th.
That's fine,
But then
sir.
give them until the November meeting, November 24th, if I remember correctly.
Well, I believe
Yes.
something like that, yeah. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so we'll set that for
Even
a
though the
hearing to
compliance date is October, yes, sir.
October 17th compliance, and then
Yes, sir.
November 24th for the next hearing date if they're not in compliance.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 6A, repeat business, CCSM 0449, 2024. This is for 2016 Ocean Drive, owner David S. Greska and/or entity. Officer Yates.
Hello, this is a repeat case, case number CE-0449-2024. On 5/30/2024, Code Compliance received a complaint regarding the condition of the property. On 8/4/2025, an inspection was conducted and the property was found to be in violation of Section 26-902 registration of vacant real properties and Section 26-914-5 exterior attachments. On 8/26/2020, case number CESM 2020-19185 was heard, and the property owner was found in violation of the section, of 26-914-5 exterior attachments. And on 9/22/2024, Case number CE-0190-2024 was heard, and the property owner was found in violation of Section 26-902, registration of vacant real properties. On 8/7/2025, a notice of repeat violation was posted on the property. Copy was also mailed, certified mail to the property owner. And currently, it says that there was a delivery attempt action needed, and that was back on August 14, 2025, and I haven't got any other updates from there. USPS website hasn't updated. On 8/26/2025, a follow-up inspection showed that the property is still in the same state. It is my recommendation to the special magistrate to find David Gruska and/or entity in violation for the repeat violation of Section 26-902, registration of vacant real properties, as well as Section 26-914.5, exterior attachments, and to impose a fine of $125 per day per violation, commencing on 8/4/2025 and continuing until the property is brought in full compliance. Fine not to exceed the maximum amount of $15,000. So we've had years of issues at this property. And so I actually had a case currently active. That's why at the beginning I had a 2024 date. I still kept going out to the property, but the property condition never seemed to change. It's only progressively got worse. And it's in pretty bad shape. So we're just trying to get the property owner to do something. This is not their first time either being fined and having liens. It's just, actually, I got a call before I even came over here from a property owner. So that lives nearby that is just tired of it. Fire department ended up going out there. Alarms going off, nobody at the resident, vagrant activity. It's just it's a bad property and it needs some serious attention.
Can you, on the pictures that have been scrolling, can you just point out on the exterior attachment?
Sure.
I just want to see exactly what you're looking at on that.
So I wasn't looking at any of them while I was reading. I apologize.
That's okay.
If we can keep scrolling to the next one. Keep going. That one right up in there. There's
Okay.
So all around the property, that's just some of the photos that I got while I was standing in the common areas. But you can see even to the far right where it says United States, it's kind of over in that area.
Yep.
There's exposed wires hanging, and every time I go there, there's more and more panels blown out. Every time there's a heavy wind coming through there, it's the doors are always cracked open. I mean, there's just, that's not part of this case, but it's just something that is a continual issue. And in fact, we just had a nuisance abatement against it that just got mowed by the city to take care of the property.
Okay.
But yeah, you can see in this photo here, there are just things falling down. It's like a forgotten property.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I assumed that's what you were referring to.
Yes, that's what I was
just wanted
referring
make
to
sure
in that. Yes, I'm sorry. So
Okay.
yeah, that was, and multiple officers have been on this. So I was trying to dig back within that 5-year period to kind of make sure things lined up for this repeat. And
Okay.
that's where I was able to kind of link them together. So
Okay. No, thank you.
thank you.
Is there a representative, is Mr. Greska here or his representative? Please. Or is there anybody else in the public that would like to come on forward? Let me hear what you have to say.
My name is Kathleen Slouzis. I've been here before. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
This property has been an issue for, we're into the second decade of it. And it just has numerous violations and constant. And it's a fire hazard. It's a health hazard. When I returned the soffits that had blown in the back, I live in one of the back properties. There's 5 properties around it. And that I walked up the south side of the property. There's mold inside. The windows were open. There was 6 inches of water in the south side bedroom, and this property is unoccupied, has a permit, unoccupied permit. Nobody's been, and despite the fact that it hasn't been since 2020, it's been well before that. And nobody from code or whatever is watching this property unless somebody calls. And I hate to be the complainant all the time, but nobody, That's what it comes down to. I do have some pictures that I would like to share with the
Sure.
code, if the code wants one, sir.
You just be back on the microphone.
Let me just explain.
Finish,
them.
go ahead.
Okay. Let me just explain them. The first one, that's my property, and the back of his. As you can see, the fence is not even to code in that it's been, but the trees are, all the palm fronds, a lot of them are dead, and those are a berry tree, so you have the dead berry bushes in them too. It's a fire hazard, and they come down. So if you look at the second one, that's the south side of the property, the back property. But if you look at the third one, that's from Hurricane Milton, and that's the south side. You can see the white fence, and that's the north side of the property. And this is not just Hurricane Milton, it's been Hurricane Ian. Now, that's my property. His is the same thing on the other side. On his Grushka's property, the same thing. Then the weeds grow over, and you've got this fire hazard sitting underneath. And that, so something needs to be done about that,
Sure.
the fire and the safety. This is unsafe. Some of the trees, quite a few of the trees are listing onto other properties. And that, so this needs to be taken. And if you look at this last picture on the right-hand side, south side, there's a vine growing. And this was pointed out to code. And now it's over properties on the south side. It's canopied. These people can't use their property. It's what they call a fire ladder. And right below that, there's a deck that's been rotted for years. And this property underwent a major landscaping 3 years before he bought it. And it was beautiful. It had a family that lived in there full-time. Those trees were all put in new. The fences were all put in. The rockscape. So it was a beautiful, beautiful property at one time. It had sod. It had, the air conditioners are just in pieces. There's three high-vac units. One's on the north side, two on the south. I heard them kick on after, they were still kicking on. I had known my neighbor and I had been in the house. So they're still kicking on. I can't tell if the inside units were kicking on, but they were kicking on for years. But probably about 10 years ago, there's no high vacs and they're just in pieces. So there's just rust and junk. There's mold in the house. After Ian, the top floor in the back, the ceiling caved in because there's a little roof up there. And that caved in and there was water. He did put a roof on, because if you go back on the code thing, he was waiting for his insurance, and he put a roof on. Roof's never been finished. There's still areas that are still open or exposed as they're not supposed to be.
And as far as you're aware, nobody's residing in the property at all, sounds like from the
I'm sorry, he
condition.
doesn't take nothing.
And
I mean, he'll go to the city and he'll mow it down. They mowed it down the other day, but only part of it, only what code could see.
yeah, and you've seen the same
I've got
pieces
pictures.
of the soffit that are removed as well.
In the back too. Yeah, that's the front. And actually, there's a fire hydrant right in front of the property. I have a picture of it. You couldn't even see the fire hydrant.
Okay.
They mowed it down, I think, last Thursday. They did some mowing, but that's been the first time. And there's still palm fronds, dead ones that are still in the back of the property by the fence and stuff like that. It's not really cleaned up.
Okay.
Cleaned up a little bit,
Right.
but not really cleaned up. And if you look at the next picture, that's just one example of the trees, how bad they are at the bottom. This house was tented for termites around the time it was purchased. That was in 2010. In that, it went into a foreclosure situation in 2009, and then it was tented, and it was purchased by Grushka in February of 2010. But somewhere in there, it did get tented. The people that work on it said it was termites, and that's not uncommon in that area on the beach. But he's not taking care of them.
Okay.
He's in that, and no preventive maintenance. The last two pictures, those are the south side of the property. That's where, underneath all that, those trees are still down. And underneath that is a rotted deck. and it's raised. So if somebody goes down there, one of the vagrants, we have a vagrant problem too. So that's why you'll see a little green fence there, because we have vagrants coming back and forth.
So I've got two items in front of me today, and it sounds like you have a lot of other things that you're citing too about landscaping and the property maintenance, and it sounds like the city's
And
done
it's
some
not-
nuisance abatement.
Right, and even though you pointed out, nothing gets done.
And you spoke specifically about the two items that are also within the or the proposed order today, as far as the exterior attachments, the soffit areas that are coming out, and the fact that the property is vacant. So
And getting those trees out of there, a lot of those trees will hit other properties. There's 5 properties right around there. Now, this doesn't even count the people that have to live across the street from it. The people that live across the street from it, their backyards are on the dune. There's no fire suppression,
right.
on the dunes. So that would take southern part of the dunes all the way down to the park.
Yeah.
If it caught fire, which, wouldn't
Right.
be unreasonable.
So some of the things that you've talked about are in front of me today. Some of them are not, but I can take care of the ones that are in front of me today.
Right,
So-
and I texted the new city manager, and he sent code out there to start doing something, but code's been out there like, it's perpetual. And the thing is, code doesn't even go by there to check on it. Can code not code it themselves? Does somebody, I don't want to call.
That's the process we're here for right now.
Right, but
So-
I don't want to have to keep calling code because it's,
Well, and what I'll tell you is that the code enforcement process in Florida is complaint-driven. So that really is typically how cases end up here.
But this is a,
Yeah.
If I could just interject real fast, just so you know, code comes out and responds, but they can't rectify the situation until we're in front of the
I didn't-
special magistrate.
But
And
if-
at the most of that, it's a fine that will be issued. They can do some nuisance abatement, which what you saw was them cutting the grass, but they cannot go in the back of the property, they cannot walk around the property, and they are limited by Florida statute. So
See-
code has been responding. What we're here today, it sounds like he's going to issue an order of noncompliance, and then a fine will begin. But that's about the extent of where we're going to go on this case, just so you're aware. There's not like we can go out and fix the property or do anything
no,
like
I
that. That's going to be
understand.
on the owner.
We've been through this before.
And
But
this is a
can the
step in the
code, can
process.
code make sure that somebody from the fire department or somebody in the city is aware of it so that it gets taken care of by whatever
Yeah.
department, building and codes, tree cutters, whatever department it
There's
is.
limits to what they can do because it is private property, but it sounds like it is very much on the city's radar and they're doing the things that they can do. So,
Well, they haven't condemned it yet, that was on one of the things before, years ago, possible condemnation of the property. But nope, it just keeps going and going. So, but it's a safety and it's a health hazard, and it needs to be taken care of.
okay. Got another gentleman behind you that sounds
Thank
like
you.
wants to add to what
That's
you've
my
said.
neighbor.
If you can just make sure to state your name and address.
Lee Terrell, 2138 Villa Way. We live adjacent to the property, live next door to Kathy. That property has been uninhabited for 10 years. That property is not just an eyesore, it's health, safety, fire hazard. The property, the nuisance property, the exterior of the property, when limbs and trees fall in our yard, they're diseased. We get bugs, we get all kinds of things coming into our yard. We get rats in our pool that come into the yard from that house, from that location. So there's critters there. So there's disease there, there's mold there. Any house that's adjacent to that is at risk and could be at risk, especially if there's a hurricane or a storm and the trees come down, because they're all in need of trimming. There are 12 palm trees lined up in the back of that house. Never been touched. Any storm comes through, those trees go down, they get uprooted, they're going to make a mess.
Right.
The fences surrounding the property are dilapidated, they're down. So the frustration is, after years of seeing this and looking at this out our windows with nothing happening, and an owner that has no intent as you can see, there's no intent by this owner to fix up the property. It basically should be condemned, taken over by the town. The town should go in, it should be raised, it should just be torn down. Now, it's easy for someone to say, I understand that.
And I'm going to defer that to somebody who has more authority
I understand.
than I do. So
I understand
I'll tell you what I am going to do, though. I am going to enter the order that's been recommended by staff, which is on the items that have been cited and posted for notice on the property. That relates to the exterior soffits that are coming down and also to the registration. This is a repeat violation. It carries a higher penalty. At the end of the day, that equips the city with the tools that they can continue to then use to try and rectify the situation.
From our side, next steps, what should we do?
I would just encourage you to continue talking to the city.
Okay,
And just for your knowledge, I did email the building official to take a look at it.
that'd be great.
So
All right, thank you.
whether it meets condemnation will be up to him, but I at least emailed him to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so in case number CSM 0449-2024, I will go ahead and enter the recommended order imposing fine for a repeat violation. And that will commence on August 4th, 2025, and run until it's brought into compliance.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay. And I think that brings us to our last item of the day, item number 7B, LA 0005-2025. This is for 1270 Kennard Street, owner Donna Sue Sullivan.
Okay, so this is a new property owner, Donna Sullivan. She's the one that submitted the lien amnesty request. This was also heard at a previous special magistrate hearing, which was continued to today, so we could kind of take into reconsideration the amount that's owed, the actual amount that's owed by her father actually owned the property previously, actually almost exceeds more than what the property is worth. So staff has met and we've discussed the amount that the city could accept. Basically, what we're asking is to reduce the total amount of the fine to what it costs the city to clean up the property, which was $11,150. That's without interest. We're just asking that she come up with a way to pay this. So what city staff is recommending for this reduction is the $11,150. Allow the property owner to work with the finance department to set up a payment plan. If the payments are not met, that she sets up with the finance department, then the total amount would revert back to the original amount of the fines. So she can meet with the finance department and see, typically we go for a 3-year payment plan. We did have this assistant city manager and myself met with the city manager, and he's okay if finance extends that out a little bit longer than the 3 years. So the city's willing to work with her to set up a payment plan for this amount that we are, that's basically what was owed to the city for the cleanup.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is Ms. Sullivan here? Ms. Sullivan, you've heard the staff's recommendation to reduce the fine down to the amount of cost incurred.
Yes.
And then to set up a payment plan of up to 5 years is, I think, what I heard from them. This is your shot at a lien amnesty, so let me know what else you have to add to that.
That would be it. I mean, we can agree to that. I can make the payments. I think when we did it for like 3 years, it was $277 a month.
Okay.
So I can do that, and when I get my taxes, that's really the only time I get chunks of money. I will put that towards what's owed to try to go ahead and just knock it off faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then based on that, I will go ahead and enter an order that reduces approves the lien reduction down to the amount of $11,150 and with the terms to be finalized with the city's finance department. That way we can leave that open for you all to kind of finalize what that would be rather than putting that specifically in the order. And just understand that if you miss those payments, then
Yeah,
it would revert back to the original amount, and so you'd have a much larger bill.
yes, sir, I get it.
Okay?
So if you want to get in touch with me tomorrow, I'll give
Okay.
you contact information.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. There was just one, does anybody know how I can get a power pole on the property? Because when the house was tore down, the power pole was tore down with it. I can't do anything on it without a power pole.
I think you'd probably need to talk to the permitting department
Is
about
that
that.
something?
Yeah.
Well, she's actually,
I think,
property's actually located in Volusia County, so
Okay.
she would, for the power pole question, she could go to the Utilities Commission,
Okay,
and then she would have to go through permitting through Volusia County.
Okay.
perfect.
All right.
Thank
Good luck to you. I'll enter the order in based on the stipulation here today.
Thank you so much, and I'll get in contact with you tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay. I think that brings us to the end of the agenda, to staff reports.
nothing from the city attorney. You don't have anything?
Yeah, there's no staff reports, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you for being here today.
We're good. And with that, we will be show adjourned at 3:35.